Eat this trash! Pat hurls the rotten chicken. It slams across Cole's chest. First class goes silent. Chunks of spoiled meat splatter across Cole Flynn's suit. Gray-green sauce explodes onto his face, his shirt, his hands. The stench is overwhelming, pure rot. His $3,000 suit is ruined. Pat Mills stands over him, eyes burning with contempt. Oops. Her smirk widens. Next time, buy an economy ticket. Stay with your own people. Other passengers look away, silent. Cole doesn't move. Rotten sauce drips from his jaw onto his lap. Pat waits for the reaction she's seen 100 times, the helpless fury, the silent shame. This is what she does. Find the ones who don't fit. Remind them she's in charge. She tosses a crumpled napkin onto his lap. Clean up your mess. Cole's fists clench against the armrests. Rage burns behind his eyes. What happens next will destroy her completely. Ever seen cruelty backfire this spectacularly? Watch what happens next, 30 minutes earlier. Cole Flynn boards transatlantic flight 2156 with only a leather messenger bag. His Navy suit is tailored, crisp. He chose this Tuesday flight deliberately. Customer complaint data flagged Tuesday routes for the highest discrimination reports. He needs to see it himself. At the cabin entrance, Pat Mills checks boarding passes. All smiles for the couple ahead. Welcome aboard, enjoy your flight. They pass. Cole steps forward, extends his ticket. Pat barely glances. She waves toward the back. Economy straight down, sir. Cole keeps his voice even. First class, seat 2A. Pat's smile cracks. She snatches the ticket, scans it twice. C. Flynn, first class, $6,200. Her eyes flick to Cole's face, then back to the ticket. Someone like him? In her cabin? How did he afford this? Right, this way. The words are glass. She gestures him forward. Her hand trembles slightly. Not fear, anger. Cole catches it. He's seen this before, just never from his own employee. He moves past her into first class. The leather seats gleam. Other passengers, all white, settle in with champagne and warm towels. Cole takes his seat. Waits. Pat watches Cole settle into 2A. 12 years she's worked this route. 12 years reading passengers. The executives, the trust fund types, the celebrities traveling incognito. She prides herself on knowing who belongs. This man doesn't fit her template. She studies him. Expensive watch, probably fake. Confident posture. Arrogance, not class. Ivy League pin on his lapel. Borrowed, stolen, who knows? People like him love pretending they're something they're not. Jake Stone, the junior attendant, leans close. That's 2A? I thought we had a corporate VIP today. Pat sniffs. Probably upgraded with points. Or complained his way up. You know the type. Jake frowns but says nothing. He's new. He'll learn. Pat's mind spins. She'll handle this her way. Small things. Forgetting his drink order. Wrong meal temperature. Delayed service. Nothing he can prove. Just enough to remind him. This isn't your world. You don't belong here. She heads to the galley, already planning. In seat 2A, Cole opens his laptop. He doesn't know it yet, but Pat Mills is about to make the worst decision of her life. 30 minutes into the flight, Cole presses the call button. He times it. 1 minute, 2, 3, 4. Pat finally appears, smile plastic. Yes, sir? Sparkling water, please. Of course. She disappears. Cole watches. The businessman in 2C presses his button. Pat arrives in 15 seconds. Yes, Mr. Taylor? Her voice is warm, genuine. Sparkling water, please. Absolutely, sir. San Pellegrino? She returns with a crystal glass, bubbles dancing. Fresh lemon, linen coaster. Then she comes to Cole. Plastic cup, tap water. No ice. Cole stares at it, says nothing. He's gathering evidence, not seeking confrontation. Every slight, every microaggression, he's documenting it all. Anything else? Pat's tone is sharp. What's for lunch? Chicken or fish? The words are clipped, dismissive. Chicken, please. Pat's lips curl, barely visible, but Cole catches it. A predator sensing prey. Of course, sir. She walks away, satisfaction already building in her chest. Cole pulls out his phone, opens an encrypted app. Types a message to his chief legal officer, Mary Bell. Documentation phase active, flight 2156, attendant P. Mills, stand by. The reply is instant. Confirmed, ready when you are. In the galley, Pat finds the meal cart. 3 chicken entrees sit in the warmer. 2 are fresh from this morning's catering. Golden skin, herb garnish, perfectly plated. The third sits in a scratched container pushed to the back. Yesterday's meal, the one catering forgot to remove. Pat lifts the lid. The smell hits immediately. Sour, chemical. The meat is gray-green at the edges. She should dispose of it. Protocol demands it. Health code requires it. Instead, she places it on her tray. Jake Stone appears beside her. His eyes widen. "Pat, that's not—" "Mind your cart." Her voice cuts like ice. "But that meal is spoiled. You can't—" "I said mind your business." She grabs wilted parsley from the waste bin, arranges it on the plate, makes it almost presentable. Jake backs away, conflicted. He pulls out his phone, hands shaking, types a report to HR. Pat lifts the tray. This passenger needs a lesson, needs to understand that money, however he got it, doesn't buy respect in her cabin. 35,000 feet up, she's the law. She walks toward 2A, tray balanced. Pat sets the plate before Cole. The lid is on, but the smell seeps through. Unmistakable rot. Cole lifts the lid. The stench explodes. Chemical tang, protein breakdown, advanced decomposition. His pre-MBA biology degree identifies it instantly. Salmonella risk, potential food poisoning. He glances at 2C. Grant Cole cuts into perfectly grilled chicken, steam rising. The woman in 3D enjoys hers with roasted vegetables and fresh bread. Cole looks at Pat. "This is spoiled." Pat's eyebrow arches. "Sir, that's today's meal." "This is rotten. I'd like a fresh entree, please." Pat sighs, theatrical. "Sir, we only prepare enough meals for confirmed orders. That's what we have." It's a blatant lie. Cole can see 3 unused meals in the galley cart behind her. Other passengers turn. The cabin tension rises. Cole keeps his voice level. "This meal is unsafe. I need a replacement." "Sir, I've already explained. I'd like to speak with the cabin supervisor." Pat straightens, satisfaction gleaming in her eyes. "I am the cabin supervisor for first class." Cole's jaw tightens. He's trapped at 35,000 feet with a woman determined to humiliate him. He calmly removes his phone, photographs the meal, the gray-green meat, the bacterial film, the scratched container. Pat's voice sharpens. "Sir, you cannot use electronic devices during meal service." Another lie. FAA regulations permit phone use at cruising altitude. Cole knows the rules better than she does. He helped write the company's compliance manual. He sets down his phone. Waits. Jake Stone approaches nervously. "Pat, I can get him a fresh meal. We have extras in—" Pat blocks him physically. "We have protocol, Jake. 1 meal per passenger." Jake retreats, confusion written on his face. Rose Clark, an elderly woman in 3D, calls out, "Excuse me, miss? I'd like to give this gentleman my meal. I'm not very hungry." Pat's mask cracks momentarily. She didn't expect white passengers to intervene. She recovers fast. "Ma'am, health regulations prohibit meal transfers." Rose frowns. "I've flown for 50 years. That's not a regulation." "Ma'am, please don't interfere with crew operations." Pat's voice carries warning now. The cabin goes quiet. Passengers exchange glances. Some pull out phones. Pat makes her decision. She leans toward Cole, voice low enough that only he hears. "Sir, if you continue to disrupt this flight, I'll have to file an incident report. Airport security will meet us upon landing. Do you really want that kind of attention?" The threat hangs in the air. The implication is clear. A black man causing a disturbance on a flight. The optics, the risk. Cole looks at her. 20 years of boardroom battles taught him one thing: never let emotion dictate strategy. "I understand completely," he says, voice surgical calm. "Thank you for clarifying the policy." Pat blinks, surprised by his composure. Cole covers the rotten meal, slides it aside, opens his laptop. Pat assumes he's writing a complaint. Let him. Complaints get buried in customer service bureaucracy. What she doesn't see is the encrypted message Cole types to Mary Bell. "Initiate protocol dignity. Flight 2156, Senior Attendant, Patricia Mills. Documentation incoming." "I want her terminated before we land." Cole takes a slow breath. 20 years of boardroom warfare taught him, never let emotion dictate strategy. He opens his laptop, fingers moving across the keyboard. Pat watches from the galley, satisfied. Let him complain. Complaints disappear into bureaucracy. She's survived 17 before. What she doesn't see: Cole's encrypted messaging app. To Mary Bell, Chief Legal Officer. Initiate protocol dignity. Flight 2156. Senior Attendant Patricia Mills. Employee hash 4521. Multiple violations. Deliberate service of spoiled food safety code breach, discriminatory conduct, threats of false security report, documentation attached. I want her terminated before landing. He attaches photos. The rotten meal, timestamps, Pat's employee number visible on her name tag. Mary's reply is instant. Protocol dignity active, legal team mobilized, London office alerted. HR standing by at Heathrow, ground security briefed. How are you holding up, Cole? Cole types. Professional, documenting everything. She threatened me with airport security. Blocked other passengers from helping. This isn't her first time. Mary. We pulled her file, 17 prior complaints, all buried by her supervisor. Pattern evidence is solid. She's done. Cole closes the laptop, looks out the window at clouds passing. His hands are steady now. The rage has crystallized into something colder, sharper, purpose. In the galley, Pat tells Jake, some people need to learn respect. Jake looks uncomfortable. Pat, that meal was clearly spoiled. Why didn't you just give him a fresh one? Because people like him need to understand they can't throw money around and expect special treatment. Jake's eyes widen. People like him? Pat, that sounds... Don't you dare. Her voice is ice. I treat everyone equally. He got the meal assigned to his seat. Not my fault if it wasn't perfect. The rationalization is complete. In Pat's mind, she's the victim. Another entitled passenger trying to make her look bad. She busies herself with other passengers, deliberately ignoring Cole for the next hour. She doesn't notice Jake quietly swapping meals with a business class attendant, bringing Cole a fresh sandwich, fruit, and bottled water. She doesn't see Rose Clark lean across the aisle, offering Cole her bread rolls and cheese plate. I'm so sorry, young man, that was disgraceful. She doesn't observe the businessman in 2C quietly sliding his untouched dessert onto Cole's tray table. She doesn't see the other passengers forming silent solidarity, small acts of defiance against her cruelty. What she does see, Cole eating quietly, working on his laptop, causing no further trouble. Good. He learned his lesson. Pat checks her watch. 3 hours until landing. Then she's off for 4 days. She's already planning her weekend. Brunch with friends, shopping, maybe that new restaurant downtown. She has no idea her career ends in 180 minutes. In seat 2A, Cole receives another message from Mary. London legal team waiting at gate. HR Director Mitchell flying in tonight. Security recording all interactions. You're not alone. Cole types back. I never was. Pull every complaint filed against her. Every passenger she's humiliated. I want them compensated. All of them. Mary. Already started. We've identified 12 passengers willing to testify. This is bigger than one flight, Cole. Cole stares at his screen. This isn't about revenge. It's about making sure no passenger ever experiences this again. The plane touches down at Heathrow. Tires screech against wet tarmac. The seatbelt sign stays illuminated. Cole waits, calm. His phone buzzes. A message from Mary Bell. London legal team at gate. Security team standing by. Operations manager en route. You're clear to deplane first. The plane taxis to the gate. Stops. The seatbelt sign extinguishes. Cole stands, retrieves his messenger bag from under the seat. Around him, other passengers rise, stretching, reaching for overhead bins. Pat rushes from the galley. Sir, please remain seated until we've reached the gate. Cole is well within regulations. The plane has stopped moving, but Pat singles him out. Sir, I said remain seated. Her voice rises, sharp. Other passengers are standing, opening bins, gathering belongings, but Pat fixates only on Cole. He turns, keeps his voice level. We've arrived at the gate. I'm deplaning. Pat steps directly into his path, a physical assertion of authority. I decide when passengers deplane from my cabin. The businessman in 2C freezes, watching. Rose Clark shakes her head in disgust. Cole's phone buzzes again. He glances at the screen. Gate agents aware, don't engage, let her finish. He looks at Pat. Not with anger, not with fear, with something she can't quite identify. Pity. Of course, Cole says quietly. I'll wait. Pat's satisfaction is visible. One last power play, one last reminder of who controls this space. The aircraft door opens with a hydraulic hiss. Cool London air floods the cabin. Thank you for flying Transatlantic Airways, Pat says, finally stepping aside. Her voice drips false courtesy. We hope to see you again soon. The sarcasm is barely concealed. Cole nods once, steps past her, walks down the aisle toward the exit. Pat watches him go, already mentally closing this chapter. Another difficult passenger handled, another complaint that will go nowhere. She turns to Jake. "Start the cabin check. I want us out of here in 20. Jake doesn't respond. He's staring past her toward the jet bridge door. "Jake? What?" "Pat." His voice is strange. "There are people waiting. In suits." Pat glances toward the door. 3 figures stand at the gate. 2 men, 1 woman. Corporate attire, serious expressions. "So? Probably VIP arrivals for the next flight." Jake swallows hard. "Pat, they're looking at you!" Pat's stomach drops, just slightly. Just enough. Cole exits the jet bridge into the terminal. Helen Cross, London Legal Director, and Richard Moore, Regional Operations Manager, approach immediately. "Mr. Flynn, Patricia Mills is being escorted to an interview room. Aircraft secured, evidence preservation protocols active," Helen says. "Spoiled meal photographed, refrigerated, 3 passenger statements recorded. Rose Clark, Grant Cole from 2C, Dr. West from row 4, all corroborate the discriminatory service pattern," Richard adds. Cole nods. "Jake Stone, the junior attendant. He tried to intervene. Protect him. He may qualify for whistleblower status." "Already noted for potential commendation?" Helen confirms. "This isn't revenge," Cole says quietly. "It's about ensuring no passenger ever experiences this again." Helen's expression softens. "We understand, sir." Pat sits in a small airport office, irritated. Security escorted her here for routine post-flight review. She's done dozens of these, no big deal. Kay Ross from HR and Tom Price from security sit across from her. Kay's expression is professionally neutral. "Miss Mills, walk us through any irregular incidents on Flight 2156, Kay says. Pat relaxes. Routine. "Flight was standard. All protocols followed." Tom slides a photo across the table. The rotten chicken, gray-green meat unmistakable. "Explain this meal served to seat 2A. Pat's stomach drops. She recovers quickly. "That's the meal assigned to his seat. Limited inventory." Kay's eyes narrow. "Assigned? Catering records show 3 fresh meals were loaded this morning. This was from yesterday. Why wasn't it discarded per safety protocol? They have records, timestamps, documentation. There must have been a mix-up in the galley. A mix-up or a choice?" Tom leans forward. Kay opens another folder. Complaint forms, passenger names, years of dates. 17 complaints from passengers of color over 8 years. Delayed service, inferior meals, confrontations. You were cabin supervisor on all 17 flights. Pat's hands shake. This isn't routine. This is a full investigation. "Complaints happen. Passengers exaggerate. I treat everyone professionally. We pulled security footage from 4 previous flights," Tom interrupts. "Should we review how you treated passengers differently based on appearance?" "They've been building a case. Today was the final piece. I want union representation." "You're right," Kay nods, "but the passenger from 2A filed a formal complaint. We take discrimination very seriously at Transatlantic." Pat's mind spins. Investigation, suspension, maybe a written warning. She's survived complaints before. This will blow over like the others did. Kay checks her watch. "Your union representative arrives in 10 minutes. She pauses deliberately. "So does Carter Flynn." Pat blinks, confused. "Who?" Kay's face stays neutral. "The passenger from seat 2A. Pat's confusion deepens. "Why would a passenger come to my disciplinary?" Tom's expression hardens. "Miss Mills, Carter Flynn isn't just a passenger." The door opens. Cole Flynn enters, flanked by Helen Cross. He's transformed. No longer the humiliated passenger. His posture radiates authority. Pat stares, confused. Why is the passenger from 2A here with corporate lawyers? Kay spreads documents across the table, complaint records spanning 8 years. "Miss Mills, let's review the pattern." She reads names aloud. "Flight 1834, March 2018, passenger James Williams, black male, reported. Flight attendant deliberately served cold food, ignored call button for 40 minutes. Flight 2901, July 2019. Passenger Maria Sanchez, Latina female, reported, attendant mocked my accent, gave me broken headphones. Flight 4521, December 2020. Passenger Rashid Khan, Muslim male, reported, attendant searched my bag twice, told other passengers to watch me. Kay continues, 17 names, 17 incidents, all passengers of color, all flights where Pat was cabin supervisor. These are lies, Pat's voice cracks. Passengers complain about everything. Tom slides a tablet across the table. Security footage, Flight 3342, February 2023. The video plays, Pat serving a white passenger. Warm smile, attentive service, extra snacks. Then Pat with a black passenger, cold tone, delayed response, inferior meal placement. The difference is stark, undeniable. We have 4 more videos like this, Tom says quietly. Pat's world tilts. Her mouth opens, closes, no words come. Miss Mills, this isn't about one bad day. Kay's voice is steel. This is about years of systematic discrimination. Today with Mr. Flynn wasn't the beginning. It was the limit. Don Reed, Pat's union representative, finally arrives. He scans the evidence spread across the table. His face goes pale. He's seen difficult cases, but this is indefensible. Miss Mills, I strongly advise you to remain silent, Don says carefully. This has escalated far beyond standard discipline. Pat finds her voice. I want to explain. I have black friends. I vote for equality. This was stress. Years of difficult passengers. One mistake. Kay raises a hand. Miss Mills, racism isn't defined by friendship or political affiliation. It's defined by actions that harm others based on race. Your actions, documented over years, caused measurable harm. Pat's hands tremble. Reality crashes down. This isn't a warning. This isn't suspension. This is termination. Kay opens a final folder, thick, official, stamped with legal seals. Miss Mills, Transatlantic Airways is terminating your employment effective immediately for willful safety violations, discriminatory conduct violating federal civil rights law, falsification of service records, and breach of passenger trust. Pat's face drains of color. You can't. My union. Don Reed's expression is grim. Pat, you serve spoiled food. That voids union protection for safety violations. There's nothing I can do. Kay continues. You're permanently banned from transatlantic property. All credentials revoked. Final paycheck minus legal fees will be processed per contract. Pat stares at Cole, finally understanding, flooding her face. Who are you? Cole looks at Pat Mills across the table. Her face is pale, confused, desperate. She still doesn't understand who he is. Someone who shouldn't matter. Cole repeats quietly. That's the problem, Miss Mills. You decided I didn't matter the moment you saw me. Pat's confusion deepens. I don't understand. Helen Cross steps forward. Miss Mills, allow me to properly introduce Carter Flynn. She pauses for effect. Chief Executive Officer of Transatlantic Airways. The words hang in the air. CEO, Carter Flynn. The passenger. The man she served rotten food. The man she threatened with security. The man she humiliated in front of an entire cabin. Pat's face drains of all color. Her mouth opens. No sound emerges. Her hands grip the table edge, knuckles white. No! The word is barely a whisper. No, that's not... Cole remains seated, perfectly calm. I boarded Flight 2156 as part of our executive audit program. Incognito quality assessments. We received elevated complaints about discriminatory service on Tuesday routes. I needed to see it firsthand. Pat's world collapses. CEO. She served the CEO spoiled food, threatened the CEO with airport security, lied to the CEO's face. Her 15-year career isn't in jeopardy. It's already over. Mr. Flynn, Pat's voice cracks. I didn't know. If I had known who you were... Cole raises a hand. His voice is surgical, precise. If you had known, that's precisely the problem, Miss Mills. Your service should never depend on whether someone is CEO or factory worker, black or white, wealthy or struggling. Every passenger deserves dignity. Pat's eyes fill with tears. Not remorse, Cole suspects, but self-pity. The realization that she destroyed her own life. I made a mistake, Pat stammers. One mistake. I can change. I'll do sensitivity training, whatever you want. One mistake? Cole's voice hardens. Kay, show her. Kay spreads 17 complaint files across the table. James Williams, Maria Sanchez, Rashid Khan, Keisha Johnson, David Lee, Patricia Torres, Malcolm Green. She reads every name. 17 passengers, 8 years, not one mistake, Miss Mills, a pattern. Pat shakes her head, desperate. They exaggerated, Cole leans forward. I don't need an apology to me, Miss Mills. I had power to fight back. Resources, legal teams, security footage. I want you to think about those 17 passengers who didn't. The single mother flying to her father's funeral who you made wait 30 minutes for water while you served others immediately. The college student you mocked for his accent in front of other passengers. The elderly veteran you refused a blanket while giving extras to the white passenger beside him. Each example is a hammer blow. Pat flinches with every word. Cole continues relentless. You violated our company values, federal civil rights laws, and basic human decency. But here's what happens next, Miss Mills. This isn't just your termination. It's a catalyst for industry-wide change. Don Reed, the union rep, speaks carefully. Mr. Flynn, with respect, this seems like entrapment. My client couldn't have known. Cole cuts him off, polite but firm. Mr. Reed, your client served a passenger, any passenger, rotten food that could have caused serious illness. She then weaponized company policy to cover discrimination. She threatened security intervention against a passenger exercising legal rights. This isn't entrapment. This is documented safety violation and civil rights breach. He stands, buttons his jacket. The FAA and Department of Transportation will receive full reports. Your client faces potential industry blacklist, federal fines, and civil lawsuits from affected passengers. Don's face goes ashen. Industry blacklist means Pat will never work commercial aviation again, anywhere. Cole looks at Pat one final time. Miss Mills, effective immediately. You're suspended without pay pending full investigation. You're banned from all transatlantic property. Security will escort you to collect your personal belongings. You'll receive formal termination notice within 72 hours, along with legal consequences documentation. Pat's tears flow freely now. Please, I have a family, a mortgage, my daughter. You should have thought about your family before you decided to harm mine, Cole says quietly. Every passenger on my airline is part of my family. You attacked one. You attacked them all. He turns to Helen. Make sure every affected passenger receives compensation. Full refunds, travel vouchers, and formal apologies. From me personally. Helen nods. Already in process, sir. Cole walks toward the door, then pauses, looks back at Pat. I hope you learn from this, Miss Mills. I hope you grow, but you'll do it far away from my passengers. The door closes behind him. Pat sits in the empty room, her career in ruins, her future uncertain. Security arrives minutes later to escort her out. Within 18 hours, the story breaks, not from Transatlantic's PR team. Jake Stone, the junior attendant, leaks the incident to aviation blogger Lynn Boyd. His conscience couldn't stay silent. He sends her everything. Photos of the rotten meal, Pat's employee record, witness statements, the confrontation details. Lynn publishes at 6 a.m. CEO served rotten food. Transatlantic attendance discrimination caught on record. The post goes viral within minutes. Screenshots of the spoiled meal flood social media. Pat's blurred face appears on every platform. Hashtags trend worldwide. #dignity in flight. #transatlantic accountability. #justice served. By 8 a.m., traditional media picks it up. CNN runs, airline CEO experiences discrimination firsthand. Company promises industry reform. Fox News counters. Was it entrapment? Airline CEO's undercover operation sparks debate. MSNBC investigates. Pattern of bias inside Transatlantic's discrimination crisis. The story dominates every news cycle. Cole watches from his Chicago headquarters, 23rd floor. His phone hasn't stopped ringing. Competitors offering statements of solidarity, really smelling blood in the water. Passenger advocacy groups demanding meetings. Congressional staffers requesting testimony. His assistant, Jen Shaw, enters with a tablet. Sir, you have 200 interview requests. The White House called. They want you on the Civil Rights Task Force. Senator Dale's office called 3 times. Cole nods, exhausted. He hasn't slept in 30 hours. Schedule the senator. Decline the interviews for now. Issue a statement. Transatlantic is committed to transparency, accountability, and systemic reform. Details coming within 48 hours. Jen makes notes. Sir, the board wants an emergency session. Today, 2 p.m. Cole checks his watch. 4 hours. Confirm it. The emergency board session convenes via secure video link. 12 faces appear on screen. Board Chair Ann Grant, CFO Greg Nash, COO Sue Kane, and 9 other directors. Ann speaks first. Cole, we've received preliminary reports. The media coverage is extensive. Before we discuss Patricia Mills specifically, talk to us about scope. How deep does this go? Cole pulls up a data visualization. charts, graphs, complaint patterns spanning years. This isn't isolated. Our internal audit over the past 6 months identified discriminatory service patterns across 43 crew members, spanning all hubs. Patricia Mills represents the visible case. I experienced it firsthand, but the systemic issue runs deeper. Greg Nash, the CFO, interrupts. Legal exposure? Give me numbers. Mary Bell joins the call from London. Significant. We're looking at potential class action from affected passengers. FAA violations for safety infractions. The spoiled food alone carries penalties up to $500,000. DOT civil rights investigations could result in operational restrictions and reputation damage. Initial projections suggest stock impact in the billions if we don't get ahead of this immediately. The board members exchange glances. Billions. Sue Kane, the COO, leans forward. What's your recommendation, Cole? Cole takes a breath. This is the moment. I'm proposing Project Elevation, a complete overhaul of our training, accountability, and passenger protection systems. Mandatory bias training with quarterly recertification, anonymous complaint systems with direct executive pipeline, diversity officers at every hub, zero-tolerance enforcement, first proven violation equals termination, and a $50 million victim compensation fund for passengers who experience discrimination. Silence. Greg Nash nearly chokes. 50 million? 17 documented passengers over 8 years, Cole says. Likely hundreds more who never reported. We compensate them all, fully, publicly. We don't hide this, we own it. Anne Grant's expression is unreadable. Cole, if we do this, if we go public with systemic failures, we're admitting liability. Every lawyer in the country will come after us. They're already coming, Mary Bell interjects. I've received inquiries from 4 law firms representing potential class action plaintiffs. We can defend the indefensible and bleed money for years, or we can lead with accountability and rebuild trust. Cole meets Anne's eyes through the screen. This board has 60 seconds to decide. Do we defend the indefensible, or do we become the industry leader in equality? The silence stretches. Anne's face hardens. I vote for leadership. She looks around the virtual room. But Cole, if we do this, we burn every bridge with the old guard. Airlines don't admit fault. It's industry gospel. Then we rewrite the gospel, Cole says quietly. One by one, the board members vote. 12 in favor, 0 against. Project Elevation is approved. Pat Mills sits in her suburban Chicago apartment watching her career incinerate on live television. Her face is blurred in the news footage, but her name is public record. Every major outlet repeats it. Patricia Mills. Patricia Mills, Patricia Mills. Her phone explodes with messages, former colleagues distancing themselves, friends asking questions she can't answer, family members in shock. Her husband, Sam Mills, stares at her from across the living room. The television plays CNN's coverage, Cole Flynn's press conference announcing Project Elevation. 15 years, Sam says quietly. 15 years you told me you were professional. Fair. Now the CEO of your own airline calls you a discriminator on national television. Pat's defenses activate automatically. It was one meal. He set me up. He was looking for a lawsuit. Sam's voice rises. Patricia, they have 17 complaints. 8 years of complaints. I just watched that press conference. Passengers describing how you treated them. One woman cried on camera talking about how you humiliated her in front of her children. Pat retreats to familiar justifications. They're exaggerating. The media twists everything. I'll sue for wrongful termination. With what money? Sam's voice cracks. Our lawyer already called. You violated federal safety laws. Transatlantic's case is airtight. We could lose the house in civil judgments. The financial reality hits. No income. Legal bills mounting. Potential civil suits from 17 passengers, each seeking damages. Their savings won't cover a fraction of it. Her phone buzzes. A text from her daughter, Amy, away at college. Mom, I can't talk right now. Everyone at school knows I need space. Pat stares at the message. Her daughter won't speak to her. Her husband looks at her like a stranger. Her career is gone. Her reputation destroyed. All because of one passenger, one meal, one moment of... No, not one moment. 17 complaints, 8 years. Hundreds of small cruelties she rationalized, justified, dismissed. For the first time, Pat Mills faces the truth. She did this to herself. Cole stands at the podium of Transatlantic's headquarters press room. Behind him, a redesigned logo debuts. The airline's classic wings now encircle the words "dignity at every altitude." Cameras flash. Reporters crowd forward. This is the moment that will define his tenure and possibly the industry's future. Good afternoon. I'm Carter Flynn, CEO of Transatlantic Airways. I'm here to announce Project Elevation, the most comprehensive civil rights initiative in aviation history. He outlines the program: mandatory bias training, anonymous feedback systems, diversity officers, zero-tolerance policies, the $50 million compensation fund. But policy isn't enough, Cole continues. We're partnering with the NAACP, the Anti-Defamation League, and LULAC to develop industry-wide standards. We're opening our training programs to competitors free of charge, because this isn't about Transatlantic's reputation. It's about every passenger's dignity. The questions begin immediately. Mr. Flynn, critics say you orchestrated this for publicity. Cole's response is measured. I boarded that flight because passengers complained. I experienced what they described. If that's publicity, then every CEO should experience their company's failures firsthand. Another reporter. What about Patricia Mills's due process? Cole nods. Miss Mills received full due process, union representation, investigation, evidence review. Her termination was based on safety violations and documented discrimination patterns spanning years. We don't terminate for single mistakes. We terminate for patterns of harm. A third reporter. Do you forgive her? Cole pauses. The room goes silent. Forgiveness is personal. Accountability is professional. I hope Miss Mills learns and grows. But she'll do it outside our organization, and outside any organization that values human dignity. He steps away from the podium. Mary Bell approaches with urgent news. Sir, we just received confirmation. The FAA is launching a full industry audit of discrimination complaints. The DOT is drafting new civil rights regulations for all carriers. Senator Dale wants you to testify before Congress next month. Cole nods slowly. What started as one spoiled meal on one flight is becoming a watershed moment for civil rights in aviation. Schedule the testimony, he says. And Mary, make sure every one of those 17 passengers knows they mattered. Their complaints weren't ignored. They changed an industry. The formal termination hearing convenes 3 days later in Transatlantic's legal department, Chicago headquarters. Pat sits beside Don Reed, her union representative, facing a 3-person panel. HR Director Kay Ross, Legal Counsel Mary Bell, and External Arbiter Judge Lane, a retired federal judge brought in for impartiality. The conference room is cold, sterile. Fluorescent lights hum overhead. Pat's hands tremble as she reviews the evidence packet one final time. It's overwhelming. Passenger complaints, video footage, testimony from Jake Stone describing her explicit racial language in the galley, catering records proving the meal swap was deliberate, and Cole Flynn's first-hand account. Kay opens the proceedings. Miss Mills, this hearing will determine final employment status and assess legal culpability. You've had 72 hours to review all evidence. Do you have any opening statement? Don Reed speaks first. My client acknowledges errors in judgment on Flight 2156. However, we maintain there was no discriminatory intent. The meal incident was negligence, not malice. Miss Mills has served Transatlantic faithfully for 15 years, Mary Bell interrupts smoothly. Negligence doesn't explain why Miss Mills served spoiled food exclusively to a black passenger while providing fresh meals to white passengers in adjacent seats. Negligence doesn't explain 8 years of complaint patterns. Intent is demonstrated through repeated action. Judge Lane examines Pat over his reading glasses. Miss Mills, do you wish to make a personal statement? Pat has rehearsed this. Her lawyer coached her. Show remorse, acknowledge mistakes, avoid direct admissions that could be used in civil suits. She clears her throat. I treated that passenger poorly. I made assumptions based on how he looked. I thought he didn't belong in first class. I was wrong. It's the closest she's come to truth. But then she continues, unable to stop herself. But I'm not a racist. I have black friends. I vote for equality. I support civil rights. This was stress. Years of difficult passengers, budget cuts, long hours, constant pressure. One bad decision in 15 years doesn't define who I am. Judge Lane raises a hand, his expression grave. Miss Mills, racism isn't defined by friendship circles or voting records. It's defined by actions that cause harm based on race. Your actions, documented repeatedly over years, caused measurable harm to passengers of color. Kay spreads photographs across the table, screenshots from the 4 security videos. Each shows Pat's drastically different treatment of passengers based on appearance. Flight 3342, Kay says. White passenger in 4A receives immediate service, warm tone, extra amenities. Black passenger in 4B waits 18 minutes for water, receives cold response, inferior meal. Same flight, same cabin, same attendant, completely different treatment based solely on appearance. Pat stares at the photos, sees herself through others' eyes for the first time. The evidence is irrefutable. These incidents span 8 years, Mary Bell adds. 17 formal complaints. Video evidence from 4 flights, testimony from multiple crew members, catering records. This isn't one bad day, Miss Mills. This is a pattern of behavior. Don Reed attempts one final defense. The company failed to provide adequate training. If these patterns existed, why weren't they addressed earlier? Transatlantic shares culpability. We accept our institutional failures, Mary says, which is why we're implementing Project Elevation. But institutional failure doesn't absolve individual choice. Miss Mills chose to serve spoiled food. She chose to threaten a passenger with security. She chose repeatedly to treat people as less than based on the color of their skin. Judge Lane reviews his notes. The room falls silent. Miss Mills, he says finally, I've reviewed all evidence. The pattern is clear and convincing. Your conduct violated company policy, federal civil rights law, and aviation safety regulations. He looks at Kay and Mary. I concur with the termination decision. Additionally, I recommend referral to the FAA for crew certification review, the Department of Transportation's Office of Civil Rights for formal investigation, and the Illinois Human Rights Commission for state-level violations. Pat's face crumbles. Please, I have a daughter in college, a mortgage. I'll lose everything. You should have considered those consequences before you chose to harm others. Judge Lane says quietly. Actions have repercussions, Miss Mills. You're experiencing yours. Kay delivers the final blow. Miss Mills, 17 passengers have joined a civil lawsuit against you personally, separate from actions against Transatlantic. Our legal team cannot represent you in that matter. You'll need private counsel. Initial damage estimates exceed $200,000. The number hangs in the air. $200,000. Pat's savings won't cover a fraction of it. Security enters the room. A female officer holds scissors. Your employee ID, Miss Mills. Pat removes the badge. 15 years of her identity. The officer cuts it in half. The sound echoes like a guillotine. You're permanently banned from all transatlantic property. If you return, you'll be arrested for trespassing. Pat stands on shaking legs. Don Reed guides her toward the door. She looks back once at the panel, searching for mercy, for reconsideration. She finds only professional neutrality. The door closes behind her. Her airline career ends with a soft click. 6 months after the incident, the aviation industry transforms. Transatlantic's Project Elevation becomes the blueprint. Delta announces comprehensive bias training overhauls. United implements anonymous complaint systems with executive escalation. American Airlines hires diversity officers at every hub. Southwest adopts zero-tolerance discrimination policies. Some carriers act voluntarily. Others move under DOT pressure after industry-wide audits. The International Air Transport Association establishes new global standards. Passenger dignity protocols. These mandate bias training for customer-facing employees, anonymous complaint systems, quarterly diversity audits, and instant termination for proven discrimination. Senator Dale introduces the Airline Passenger Civil Rights Act, requiring carriers to maintain public discrimination complaint records, transparency to empower passengers. Rose Clark, the elderly passenger who witnessed Pat's treatment of Cole, testifies before Congress. I've flown since the 1960s, she tells the Senate. I've seen how the powerless are treated. I've stayed silent too long. No more. The bill passes with bipartisan support, 78-22 in the Senate. Flight attendant unions initially resist, fearing job insecurity, but progressive leaders recognize discrimination isn't labor rights, it's labor wrongs. They negotiate robust anti-discrimination enforcement paired with protections against false accusations, evidence standards, due process, appeals. Jake Stone becomes Transatlantic's Director of Passenger Experience at 29. Cole personally promoted him. Jake writes in the company blog, "I saw discrimination and stayed silent too long. I worried about my job, about challenging a superior. When Mr. Flynn boarded that flight, I had a choice: participate in wrong or stand for right. I chose too late, only offering help after damage was done, but Mr. Flynn taught me, late courage is better than permanent silence." Jake now leads training sessions across all hubs. He tells new flight attendants, "You'll face moments where company culture conflicts with human dignity. Choose dignity, every time. The passenger in seat 2A might not be the CEO, but they're someone's parent, someone's child, someone's world. Treat them accordingly." Transatlantic's metrics shift dramatically. Passenger satisfaction climbs 34%. Diversity in hiring increases 28%. Complaint resolution drops from 45 days to 72 hours. Competitors notice. Respecting passengers improves business. Other industries watch. Hilton implements similar protocols. Marriott follows. Major restaurant chains revise standards. Retail corporations train staff on implicit bias. Pat Mills's cruelty accidentally sparked a service industry civil rights renaissance. Business schools add the case to curricula. Harvard Business Review publishes From Crisis to Catalyst, the Transatlantic Transformation. The article analyzes Cole's strategy: immediate accountability, transparent communication, financial commitment to victims, industry collaboration. But the most meaningful changes happen quietly, in terminals, in cabins, in moments where power meets powerlessness. A flight attendant pauses before serving, remembering Jake's words. A gate agent offers assistance instead of suspicion. A crew member speaks up when colleagues cross lines. Small acts, repeated thousands of times daily, dignity becoming default instead of exception, not because rules demand it, because culture shifted. 1 year after the incident, Cole sits in his office reviewing passenger letters. Thousands arrived, gratitude from people who finally felt seen. A black businessman writes, "I fly weekly for work. For the first time in 20 years, I wasn't questioned about my first-class ticket. Thank you." A Latina grandmother. "The flight attendant called me ma'am with genuine respect. She helped with my bags without me asking. I cried." A Muslim family. "No one stared at us like threats. Our children felt safe. You gave us that." These letters matter more than stock prices, more than industry awards, more than the Presidential Medal of Freedom sitting on his shelf. But victory has costs. Cole's face became public. He can't fly incognito anymore. Passengers recognize him constantly. Some thank him, some cry. Some share their own stories of discrimination, looking for validation, for hope. Competitors resent him. He exposed industry-wide rot, forced expensive reforms. Conservative pundits labeled him divisive, accused him of orchestrating publicity stunts. Progressive activists demand he solve every injustice, as if one man can dismantle centuries of systemic bias. Death threats required security upgrades. His home address leaked online. His family receives hate mail. His marriage strained under pressure. Dr. Ann Flynn, a surgeon, barely sees him anymore. Their schedules never align. When they do meet, exhaustion fills the space between them. His son, Max, now 14, asks one evening, "Dad, was it worth it?" Cole considers this carefully. He looks at his son, bright eyes searching for truth. Worth it? I don't know yet. But necessary? Absolutely. Some battles you fight not because you'll win perfectly, but because silence is surrender. Max nods, processing. "What happened to that flight attendant, the one who—" "She lost everything," Cole says quietly. "Her career, her reputation, probably her savings. Her daughter won't speak to her." "Do you feel bad for her?" Cole pauses. "I feel sad that she chose hate over humanity, but I don't regret her accountability. People ask if I forgive her. My answer evolves daily." "What is it today?" "Today?" Cole looks out the window at Chicago's skyline. "I don't carry hatred, but I won't forget what her actions represented. Systemic dehumanization of people based on appearance. Forgiveness without change is just permission to harm again." Max thinks about this. "Mom says you're tired." "I am," Cole admits. But tired doesn't mean defeated. The next morning, Cole walks through O'Hare International. No disguise, no pretense. Passengers recognize him. Some nod respectfully, others approach for photos. He's gracious with everyone, even when he's running late. At Gate B-15, transatlantic flight 2156 prepares for boarding, the same route, London bound. Cole holds a first-class ticket, seat 2A. The gate agent, Jane Smith, checks his ID and smiles warmly. "Mr. Flynn, welcome aboard. It's an honor." Cole boards early. The cabin is familiar yet transformed, new upholstery, updated lighting, and a placard mounted near the entrance. "This aircraft flies under Project Elevation standards. Every passenger deserves dignity." The lead flight attendant approaches, Lisa Day, a young black woman recently promoted to cabin supervisor. She extends her hand professionally. "Mr. Flynn, I'm honored to serve you today. Your meal preference. Chicken, please." Lisa returns minutes later with a perfectly plated entree, golden grilled chicken, fresh vegetables, warm bread. She sets it down with genuine care. "Please let me know if you need anything else, sir. Anything at all." Cole looks at the meal, thinks about rotten chicken a year ago, thinks about Pat's sneer, thinks about the system that protected her for years. Then he looks at Lisa, a woman who would have faced Pat's barriers a year ago, but now leads her own cabin with authority and respect. He takes a bite. The chicken is excellent. As the plane lifts off, Cole gazes out at Chicago shrinking below. Somewhere down there, Pat Mills lives with consequences. Somewhere, 17 passengers sleep easier. Somewhere, Jake Stone trains new attendants. Somewhere, the industry evolves. Cole doesn't know if he changed everything, but he changed something. And in a world where dignity was negotiable, he made it mandatory. Dignity doesn't check baggage, and neither should respect. If this story moved you, it should. Because Cole Flynn's experience isn't fiction. It's a reality thousands face daily. Discrimination doesn't announce itself with slurs and violence. It arrives in spoiled meals, delayed service, dismissive glances, and weaponized policies. Your action matters. Subscribe to hear more stories where justice isn't just served, it's demanded. Share this with someone who needs to know they're not alone in fighting silent battles. Comment below. Have you experienced discrimination in customer service? What happened? How did you respond? Your story might empower someone else to stand up.